Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to turn my light on, but I think we've got enough light for now. Let me just turn off half the stuff that I've got repeating in my ear. There we go. Welcome. Yes, I know it's hissing. I'm really sorry about that, Wayne. There's not really a lot I can currently do about that. I need to go through. I've been trying to get my head around why currently YouTube isn't streaming to the right place. It's streaming on YouTube, of course, as you can see, because you're watching it. But it's I can't seem to be able to set up my schedules properly, and it's recording to the wrong place on YouTube, and it's all given me a massive headache. Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, but we are still using the HD Facecam as I was doing last week, and so I'm going to carry on using this for the time being. So thank you for joining me, and as usual at the top of the show I would like to give a big Patreon shout out to my third tier and above Patreons, which is Reese, Wayne, Tim and Chris. Thank you very much. Without you, these shows wouldn't happen, of course, and most of your names are going down the bottom there. Well, no, all of your names are going down the bottom there. And as always, don't forget to throw me your pictures if you want them to appear on the stream. You can find all of the links in the description below, or you should do. I just want to check that they're there. Yes, they are in the description below on YouTube, and there's also a little thing with all the written down things on Twitch as well. So yeah, they still won't work though, unfortunately, because I still haven't gotten around to setting those up, because everything is taking a massive time. Everything's giving me a massive headache. So yeah, but yeah, so send me your pictures on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, no, not on YouTube, Facebook, Discord, all of the other places. Feel free, just search for Base of Operations on any of your favourite social media and you should find them. And as always, yep, let me know what your Instagram link is and I will put you on my story. Now we have Eisenhorn right here. Look at this. It's fantastic. He's doing really nice. He's coming along well. We want to see how we get on with that. Last week I was doing attempting to do some blending. So we will have to see how we do about that. This week I might do some more. We've got his cape to do. He is currently all connected. He's all glued now because I've done the inside of that cape and the outside of this one. So we can get on with doing the rest of the model and get this guy painted. And as always, I've already got the next job planned, the next project planned. But as always, if you're watching along or if you're watching in the future, don't feel free to throw down in the comments of various sections of where you're watching. Send me your suggestions. What do you want to watch me paint, and they'll get added to the list. And as a little side note, let me just bring in the this camera here. This week I'm going to start using these, the Citadel ones that came. Most of you will recognise these as the Conquest freebies, basically. We got the base brush in the magazine this week, and in my delivery of the premium, no, there's a subscription delivery, we got the large base brush, the small layer brush and the medium shade brush. I'm going to give these a try over the next few days. I'm going to be using them so that I can give you an idea about how they work when I do the show on Monday night. So I'm going to give these a try, but you can see a really nice shot of the way that this guy is coming together. Should be in focus. Should give you a nice look at that. Yeah, he's doing all right. So we're going to get on with that. Get some of this done and carry on. Let's have a look. I'll just have a look at my phone because that's going a bit mental at the minute. So yeah, we're going to get on with this. So feel free to jump on the chat. Don't forget to like and share the feed as usual, if you wish. And I am going to get cracking on with this guy tonight. I'm feeling a little bit bunged up. I've been quite ill quite a lot over the last couple of months. I think it's just this winter is starting to make the most of itself, and it's dragging me down a little bit, but hopefully a good painting session will clear everything up and make me feel much better. So let's have a look at what I can use here. I'm going to start on the black. We're going to start on this cloak, and I want to see if I can get some more of that blending that I was doing last week. So I'm going to pretty much do the same thing as what I did last week on the palette. Of course, with the way the cameras are, you can't really see my palette, but needless to say, I'm going to pop some black and also some highlight colour into my palette, which is, I want to get up to, how bright do I want to come up with this? I'm thinking maybe admin grey. Excuse me. So actually, let me see if I can bring this into the shot here. So I have the black there, and I'm going to pop in some admin grey onto my palette also. So what I want to do is make sure I've got a really nice one. What I'm going to try this week, I'm going to get some Lamia medium, and I will grab that, thin that down a bit, and move a bunch of this black across until it just touches the admin grey there. Clean my brush and start from here. I'm going to drag it into the black and mix it along. Like that, and that should give us a reasonable kind of fade. Let's see if I can make some work. Kind of. Let's see how this works on the model. It's not brilliant, but who else is here? Nobody is here by the looks of it. It's just you and me, Wayne. I do notice that my viewer count isn't working, because my viewer count should have at least 2 people on there. Can I, properties, let me just refresh. There we are. Done. That should do. There we are. It's just you and me here, Wayne. That viewer on Twitch is actually me. So I'm going to use this really dark. I don't want to do black, so I'm doing this really dark grey. So let's see how this goes. And I'm using the medium base brush. We'll see how well this brush does. I've got to be careful not to go too far over the red, over the edge. The paint is very, very thin, so I may have to do a couple of coats of this to start with. I hope this will dry reasonably quickly. A thin paint does tend to dry quite quick. see the fades that we did last week is on the shoulder pads there. They haven't come out amazing, but like I said, is last week after I'd done them, I said I was going to leave them because, I mean, even though they're not perfect, I can leave it as not being perfect so that I can come back and look at them in the future and see improvements that I make. So that's why I'm not too fussed about it not being perfect. As always, we like to use this show to learn new things, so I want to get in here as well. I'm not too fussed about the colour, because that will be a different colour eventually as well. I do want to get behind the stuff there, and being careful not to go on the green, but the outside of that green will be painted with a silver anyway. So here we go. Let's see if we can add some more paint to this. Hello, Chris. Sorry, I did see your comment there, but I was concentrating. So, I think we've got a reasonably decent coverage of the grey there, and so I'm going to move along the colours a little bit and see if I can start building up a layer of some description. I still have very wet paint, but let's see if we can do this here. It's all very thin, so hopefully this will go alright. So I'm just finding all the high areas and areas of lots of light. Seeing if I can see if I can get this blending. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. We may end up coming back next week and just covering all of this back up again. And just go for a straight up black, but we'll see how it goes. So, I have to learn these things. I might even throw a non-oil wash over the whole thing after we're done, and maybe that will help to finish it off, as it were. It's very difficult trying to find where all these low points are, all the high points, but we'll see how it goes. versus stress paint and gravity plates for a repulsor tank. And to do the black, epic amounts of highlighting. Lovely. Painting related stress, Wayne. I think it's overrated. Don't worry about it. Let's swap to a smaller brush. We'll go for the small layer brush now, I think. See if we can't start getting into these lighter colours here. Seeing how it's quite a jump between that and that, isn't it? I mean, you can see the difference there. I mean, it's a massive jump. Let's see if this is somewhere between the two. I think that's a little bit better. I'll be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea if I'm doing this right or not. I am literally, no word of a lie, just winging it right now. I'm popping some paint on and I'm going to see what happens. I have absolutely no idea whether I'm even remotely close to what I should be doing, or if I'm remotely close to what I'm even trying to do. So I do know I'm using very thin paint, so basically when the paint dries it's virtually transparent, which is kind of good, meaning that the layers beneath it are definitely showing through, and I'm hoping that once it's all dry we'll have essentially some colours that are virtually undistinguishable from each other, and the final result gives you something that just naturally just goes from light to dark. I might even just add an extra highlight at the end to kind of finish it off. For now, where are we going? We are a little bit lighter here. I'm still definitely not in 100% admin grey yet. I'm just going to add some light there. I'm not cleaning my brush between each layer either, so even the colour on the palette isn't quite what's going on to the model. pretty much it, to be honest, with what I've got going on there. Maybe I will clean the brush and really come in with just this bit here, which is pretty much straight up admin grey, and I'm going to very, very gently that's too big of a mark. Where's my smallest? Let's find my Series 7. Where is it? That one there. Come in with this. Just highlight these buttonholes. Here as well. And like I said, I need to go along and do the edge. It looks a bit messy around the edge here because the need to do the red right on the rim, on the basically on the thickness of the material here. Admittedly, the thickness of the material is a little out of scale. Because according to this, his coat is about 2 inches thick, which obviously doesn't make any sense. We'll add just a little highlight along the edge of the coat. See if that helps with the way that blend is looking. And again, I'm not expecting it to be amazing, but I'm kind of looking at that and thinking it kind of works. It does kind of work. As always, I'm sure there are some improvements that could be made. I don't think anybody steps back from a model thinking it's perfect. In fact, some artists will tell you, if you ever do come to a model, step back and say, yep, that is absolutely perfect. You may as well never paint another model again. The idea then is you'll never ever reach perfection again. So what I want to do is see if I can loose hair on the end of the brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if I can pick out just ever so gently. So these highlights here, just a very, very thin line. See if that does anything, see if it helps. I don't know if it does or not. I am a little bit suspicious about how quickly I've got to kind of, you know, I've kind of gone over it and I've like, yep, that looks good. I'm a little bit suspicious about how quickly that came together, because I know for a fact that wet blending or even layering shouldn't really be that quick, so I'm sure there are some improvements to be made. Perhaps I'm just too impatient. I should let it dry between each layer perhaps, rather than just layering it on top, wet paint on top of wet paint. So, but having said that, in the restrictions of the show itself, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be sat there quite literally watching paint dry. So I mean, if I can hide some of the shine from some of the light, I think we've definitely got some highlight going on in there. Back soon, got dinner time, no problem. But yeah, I mean, I'm hiding some of the glare from the light. So, but we can definitely see there is some highlighting going on in there. So yeah, I think it's not terrible, which is good. I mean, it's kind of a good thing, right? It's not terrible, so I'm happy with that. And the sleeves I'm going to do is proper black rather than this grey that I've done so far. Well, I do need to try and get some of this darker in here. It's the top end of his coat. Could argue that the sleeves, his arms, didn't want attaching to the body just yet. Again, I'm trying to balance the show with paintability. I need to kind of put at least some of the model together, rather than trying to just sub-assembly everything. So that's a balance for you. I'm going to throw down, I think I do need to throw down a wash though. I'm going to throw down an on-oil wash, and that will help darken up the whole area and hopefully tie together the model. So I will grab the medium shade brush and we'll very lightly just add on excuse me, add on a non-oil shade, basically using it almost like a glaze. Very gently paint that on over the top of the coat. Basically not really giving it much purchase in terms of being able to pull and cause shading, but more of a light spreading. There we are, I'm quite happy with that. We'll see how that looks. Maybe when that's dry, maybe at the end of the show. Okay, Right. So I think we need to get the black done on those sleeves as well. We need to really get those blacks, get the really dark colours done. Here's the inner sleeves here, which I will paint black, and I'll highlight those in the traditional sense, in terms of, you know, edge highlighting them. So I'll add just a touch of black to the palette. Don't need a lot. And I'm using the base brush here, so this might be a bit too big for what I want to use, for where I want to get this paint. Which is up in here, without damaging any of the red that we did last week. Again, the paint is very, very thin. Hopefully won't take too long to dry, but we do want to make sure we get a reasonably solid finish, so we may have to go over it a couple of times. And again down in here. Come in with the small layer brush. I will give a proper decision about how I feel about these brushes in the Conquest show on Monday, due to that's really where I got them from. And I will say that the GW brushes are pretty good for, certainly with the way that they've named them, to tell you exactly what to use them for. I might even go out and buy some of the other brushes to give them a rundown for their money. I do have some on the way from Green Stuff World, the sable brushes from Green Stuff World, which I will give a shakedown and give my opinion on in another show. But Pseudo brushes are pretty good in terms of usability. I mean, the tips are not fantastic for keeping the shape. It's pretty good, but it's not as solid as I would like it to be. But yeah, they work pretty well. I'm kind of liking the way that that's looked now. It's not quite as sharp of a highlight as I would like, but maybe once we put some dusting on that, that'll look a little bit different. But we just need to wait for that black to dry, so we're going to come in now and we're going to add a splash of colour. We're going to go for corn red. It's got a lot of red there, and we want to make sure we give them plenty of variances between the different colours of red. So we're going to come in with a corn red for his cuffs and his collar. It'll give us a much deeper red than what we have for his for the lining of his coat. So we're going to carry on with the, due to how small these bits are, we're going to carry on with the small layer brush. I'll make sure that the paint is nice and thin as well. I'm not too fussed about painting over the black that I've already painted onto the cuffs. Should cover reasonably well. Corn red being quite dark in terms of the reds that are available. Should cover up reasonably well. We can go over it a couple of times just to make sure we get that solid colour. One of the things you may notice actually when you're watching sort of me painting and stuff, the old adage of Mr. Rhodes of two thin coats is words to live by. Very much so if you're new to painting. It is. I would never dream of telling people you don't need to use two thin coats. But sometimes, once you start getting used to painting and you understand what you want, two coats isn't necessarily always needed. So you may notice that when I'm painting stuff and I'll put the colour down and then I'll move on to something else. And a lot of new painters may look at what I'm doing and think, why are you not putting two thin coats down? It's because it's not necessarily always needed. Sometimes you can just get away with the one. Right, there we go. We are almost at the stage now where every part of this model has colour on it. We're very, very close to that stage now. I do just want to add a little bit of colour into here. This is where all of the various folds of fabric are coming to meet, so it's very difficult to get a decent line coming through here. Should be alright to just throw down a little bit of colour there. Black is showing through a little bit on some of this corn red. Isn't too much of a bother. Just add just a touch more paint there, just to even it out. Maybe around here. We're going to throw some Nuln Oil over this as well. Just really darken those down into a really deep dark red. Which is really going to stand out against the brighter red that's on the inside of that cloak. There we go, so it's really coming together. Right, let's grab some, let's highlight some of the black here, and what I'm going to use now is Storm Vermin Fur, I think. And just throw some of this down onto the palette. A highlight for the sleeves here. Let's see if we can find where those sleeves are. A lot of dark colours under here. Difficult trying to see what is what. We have a tassel down here as well. That'll be painted gold. Sitting on layer brush really does like to split. Those bristles do not want to stay where they are. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Can you just see that? It really doesn't like staying together, and I really haven't used it very much at all. So it'll be a real challenge to keep those bristles in line. Do what you want them to do rather than what they want to do. Trouble is I wouldn't mind trying the Artificer set from GW. They are supposedly created and made by Winsor & Newton. The same standard as their Series 7 brushes, which are the ones I do have. But they are slightly more expensive. Most of the GW brushes come in at around about £5-ish, and the Artificer brushes from GW come in at 15 quid, about £14 something. So it will be quite the expense if I choose to try them out. So we'll see how it goes. That does seem to be the right. That's all of that. So when I come in, there is a little bit of this admin grey somewhere up here. I can use it very, very thin. I think that's too thin to use as a highlight. So I will come in again with, where did I put it? The admin grey. Add just a touch onto the palette. I literally only need a small amount of this stuff, but it's so small you can't even see it here on the palette, can you? It might even be that brush is too big, so I'll come back in with my 000. Pretty much using all of the paint up that I put on the palette here. Such a small amount. Just want to highlight these sleeves a little bit. shade brush and just throw down some shade onto those cuffs. Really turn them into a really dark red along here. They're quite a heavy shade, but I'm not allowing it to pool. I do want the shade to be quite a dark shade. Again, if you let it puddle up too much, then you'll actually be adding thickness to the model as well, and that's really not going to be helpful. So let's start with the face, and we're going to come in with Bugman's Glow on that, and we're going to start adding some skin to this guy. Chris said there's no difference to this Series 7 in the Art Fisher. You have both. Excellent. Yeah, apparently it's they are done by the same. It's Winsor & Newton that made them, and they are Series 7s. I meant to ask you, well, how do you get on painting under artificial lights like you are now as opposed to natural light? I struggle even with a daylight bulb in an angle poise lamp. I find it okay. I have very bright daylight bulbs. I've got 2 of them. I also have white LEDs on as well. But in all honesty, light is the bane of my life. I always need more light. I can't paint under natural light, just generally, because there's never enough. Certainly in the winter, otherwise I would never get anything painted. But I think, yeah, I just start stacking my lights up over and over again until I've got enough. But even then, after a while, I end up needing more. So I think in all honesty, I think even my lighting situation is still a work in progress. I'm currently keep buying lights. The bulbs themselves cost me about 3 or 4 quid off of eBay. I'm running, I believe I'm using 65,000 Kelvin? No, not 65,000, 6,500 Kelvin. At about 1,500 lumens. Yeah, I'm constantly needing more light. So once I crack it, I'll let you know, and I'll tell you exactly what bulbs I use and how I've done it. But yeah, I think do I find a difference between natural and artificial light? I've never tried painting by natural light, honestly, because first of all, I'd never be able to. I can't film under natural light, and second of all, you know, we live in the wonderful British Isles, which, quite frankly, the light is just so temperamental, or more to the point, the weather is. It's almost impossible to get, you know, the same light twice. You know, it's kind of, unless you're painting in the middle of summer, in the middle of a heat wave, the light is so different from one day to the next. Overcast one day and brilliant the next. Yeah, it's almost too difficult. You find when you use your daylight bulb it's too bright sometimes. Yeah, possibly. I just get used to it. To be honest, I'm under my daylight bulbs all day, every day. I think I've got a vitamin D deficiency, but you know I have. I'm under my daylight bulbs all day, all the time. So yeah, I'm constantly like this. So I get used to my lights. Right. Oops. Oh, a bit of mood atmosphere going on there. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Right. Let me grab some. When I find it. Ah, is it up here? I don't want that. You can buy reptile lights that give off the vital vitamins. That might be handy. I spend so long indoors under artificial lights. There's two people in the same day told me that my recent wrist issues could possibly be down to a vitamin D deficiency. It doesn't help that I keep shaking my bottles by hand. I would like to buy myself one of those hobby paint shakers. The problem is, could you imagine me trying to use one of those on this stream? It would be so noisy. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I've got some green fang steel, and I want to pick out the edge of this, the blend that I did last week on the rim of this. We'll see how this turns out. I think maybe when we've, once I've picked out the rim on this, it might have a different effect, maybe, we'll see. I keep nearly going for the wrong paint here. Keep going for the admin grey that I've got on the palette rather than the rune fang steel. Should have put them quite so close together. Does that help with that blend? Not sure it does really. But nevertheless, we'll see what happens. He's looking well. Will you finish him tonight or one more week? He won't be finished tonight because we still have his hair. We still have some more of his head to do. His skin tones to do. Lots of gold. He still has plenty of gold left on him to be painted out in. So I very much doubt he'll be done today. And due to the Patreon discussion we've had about what the next project should be, I kind of don't want to finish this guy today. Otherwise I won't be able to do what the discussion was about. Now of course I know that only Patreons are watching live, but of course it's a secret until it's revealed what the next project's going to be, even though both of you know what it is. So yeah, I kind of don't want to finish this guy tonight, otherwise I'll have to do plan B, which will mean that the timing's a bit wrong, a bit off, to do what we want to do. So I'm hoping I still need to do it next week. I'll have to do some more next week, and then maybe the timing will be a bit better to finish him off. So this guy's taken a little bit longer, but then having said that, I have done some techniques that I don't normally do, which is I'm quite proud of, and I just went and splodged some silver on here. It's not ideal. That is not ideal at all. Might be able to save that. To get away with that. I do agree, he is definitely coming along nicely. I am really happy with the way that this is going. You know, like I said, I've been learning some new things. I've tried some things I've never done before. I wouldn't say that they were. I wouldn't say it was a resounding success on getting that, especially on the back there. I kind of see that I've kind of gone in the right direction, but didn't quite hit that nail exactly where I wanted to. On the whole, I'm pretty chuffed with how he's coming together. So one more week? Yeah, I would say yes. I think one more week and he will probably be done. I think it's a safe bet to say one more week. Although I won't necessarily hold myself to it, of course. If we need to take 2 more weeks, then we'll take 2. Oh, excuse me. There we go. All right. So yeah, I mean, actually, now that they're Let's hide that light a second. No, we need the light. No, do we need the light? I don't know, do we? Yeah. Oh, that's... I don't know how those shoulder pads, I mean those shoulder pads are very, very in your face. So I'm not sure how they turned out. Trouble is they're sat right next to a really big unpainted area, so they do kind of stand out a little bit. So we'll see. Let us start throwing out some more of this colour that we've got lying around the place. Actually, I'll tell you what I do need to do, is there is this section here. Let's grab some of this room-phase steel. Oh, have I gone and, oh, I've gone and watered it down far too much. Let's throw some paint down in there. There's this bar that goes across this chest here. Throwing in some room-phase steel on here, letting that dry, and then washing it might give us the tone that we need. Dry. Then I need to start painting. Start throwing down some more colours. Start basing a lot of the other colours that we've got lying around, and that will give us a really good idea about how close he's coming. One thing I have noticed though, that sometimes, you know, until you've actually got paint on everything, a model can really look untidy and unfinished, and you really can't see where it's going. But once you start getting everything covered in paint, at least, even if you haven't finished highlighting everything, you can start seeing where you are and how close you are to finishing and that sort of stuff. You do run the risk, of course, of missing bits though. You know, if you spend your time just base coating and highlighting individual bits, the model looks unfinished for a lot longer. Then you're less likely to miss stuff. Once you've base coated everything, and maybe if you've washed it all, you'll have those natural shadows added to it. You do run the risk of missing highlighting some of it, and then about 6 weeks later you go, oh yeah, I missed a bit. Which I do sometimes when I've done these projects, and I look back at the Mini a little while later and I look at it and go, ah, I missed a bit. I was in too much of a rush to get paint done, or you know, I forgot to go back to a bit because I didn't want to just wait for it to dry before carrying it on, so I did something else, and then realised, I forgot to highlight that area. I completely forgot about it. So I'll come back in with the Bugman's Glow and see if I can start adding some colour back into his face here. So avoiding those shadows. can see there. I've just done half of his face. Don't really know. Hang on a minute. Can I bring up? If I bring up the focus a bit. There's my camera control here. We can bring up his. Is that the right camera? No, that's the wrong camera. That's why. Okay, let's try this one. Is that one going to work? Nope, that's the wrong one too. Oh, okay. That's not helpful. Can we focus this? Nope. No, won't let me focus that camera. Alright. That's the downside of it. I don't know if you can see how I've the difference between the two halves of the face. From my eye I can see that there's a very slight difference between the two, and all I've done is just adding the base coat back on over the wash. We'll add some highlights into it, of course, as we go along. Back into these hands as well. Oh, completely forgot. There we go. Look at that. I completely forgot to paint the back of his hand on his gun. Completely forgot it. At all. His hand is going to have to be painted and washed, and then I'll have to highlight that later. See if I can get that washed up the top there, that bit of silver that I did earlier. Hopefully this will give us a really nice, fairly bright but also very shaded metal. Black. Come back with the old Abaddon black. to reach areas. Just grab my very small brush to paint these two quiffy bits that come down his face. He's coming along, isn't he? He's kind of getting there. What is the time? It's 20 past 8. Alright. His gun is going to take some time. I need to add some gold to that. But for now, I will start off with good old lead belcher. Paint the majority of it. The best sculpted detail on this model. The gun is very difficult to kind of make out, so unfortunately it's not brilliant in terms of detail, so I have to make do with what we've got. And one final thing before the end of the show, hit the rim of the soles of his shoes. I kind of ignored those because I knew I wanted to do them in black, and I kind of moved on with the rest of the model. So I will do the soles of his shoes in black to finish off this show, and that will pretty much mean that the base is finished, with the exception of the rim. But of course that will be done last, due to holding the model on one of these grippers. If I painted the rim, I'll damage it with the holder, so the rim will get done last. So I paint his soles. Carefully, of course, because of the amount of time we spent on the base. We've done a pretty good job on that, I think. I keep saying we, I must say. Pretty sure I'm the one doing the painting here. be honest, I'm pretty sure all of that was a detail that wasn't even getting picked up on camera, but it's certainly something I could see, so it needed to be sorted. But there we are. I think we're going to call that a day for today. Next week we've got plenty of highlighting to do. We'll have some gold that needs painting in there. Lots of gold that needs doing. I mean, we can bring back in the artwork here next to him. He's certainly coming along. Funny thing is, I've actually painted. I haven't on the box art. He's actually got black gloves on, whereas I've just started painting them in skin tone. To be honest, I think it works well because he has a ring on. We can see on the cover there, he actually has a ring on that I think would look better if he had bare gloves. So yeah, we'll do that. We got plenty of. He's got his stuff that still needs doing. I haven't even touched that yet. We'll finish off his hair and his face. We've done the book. The book's okay. I think I might need to give that a bit of a shade just to bring that out. And the base work is doing quite nicely on there. I've noticed he's kind of glued on the base a little bit differently. Or maybe I need to pick out the skull that he stood on actually. Grab some lighter grey. I might pick that out at some point. So yeah, he is coming along nicely, and thank you very much, Wayne. It's much appreciated. He's getting there, isn't he? And like I said, I am using the box art as a guide. I'm not making this up as I go along. So we'll have a good idea about how he's done later on when we're finished. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Let's pop him somewhere where he's not going to get damaged in paint. There, oh yeah, that'll do. There, just there. There we are. All right. Well, thank you very much. So yeah, I'm having some trouble with, like I said, with where YouTube is posting videos and what have you. I mean, Twitch is working just fine at the minute. It's we don't have many viewers, as you can see at the top there. That one viewer is me the entire time, just so that I can keep an eye on what's going on. We have the HD camera back on my face, and that just means that the overhead camera for the games is not HD. But that's not a problem. I think it makes this work a lot nicer. I will hopefully sort out the sound at some point. It's another thing I need to get on with and figure out. If any of you are soundy people, feel free to give me a shout, and we can maybe set up a time where I can kind of sit here with a private stream perhaps and mess around with filters and changing volumes and so on and so forth, and what have you. So don't forget to send in your pictures to all of the links in the descriptions below, and in the if you're on Twitch, you can see there's a little box underneath with lots of different links. You should be able to just copy and paste or make a note of them. You'll find me all over the internet, so don't forget to do that. Don't forget to support me on Patreon. Next week on Tuesday, there is a Patreon only game between excuse me, between me and Chick Paints again. We were playing Adeptus Titanicus this Tuesday, so next Tuesday there will be a Patreon only game. I do need to figure out how to make sure I can do a private stream, so we need to try and figure that out over the next couple of weeks, so we'll see. But yes, anybody who's a Patreon at that time can watch the show, so now's a good time to become a Patreon of the channel. I will sort the keywords at some point out, but the keywords is one of the lower things on my list, because the sound and getting the videos where they should be are at the top of my list at the minute. But yes, I will do that at some point. Yes, so the next show will be on Monday, where we open up Conquest issue number 23, is it now? I can't remember what number we're on. Yes, 23. So we'll do a conquest number 23, and we'll get on with that. And I will let you know how I find all of these brushes that we got with our subscriptions. I'll let you know how I'm finding those, and I might even have my Green Stuff World ones coming by then as well, but we'll have to see about that. So yeah, Chris, Wayne, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. Everybody who watches it in the future, I am very, very grateful. And just a little note, 168 subscribers on the YouTube. That is slowly climbing. That is fantastic. And everybody who is a subscriber, I thank every single one of you. So thank you very much for that. Thank you guys for watching this one, and I will catch you in the next one. Alright? Tara.